Hi everyone, I'm Bob from the Satellite Beach Live YouTube channel. I recently had the privilege of interviewing John Carbee, who with Jim Sterniolo and Bruce Hess, about 40 years ago, founded what's now known as the Satellite Beach Christmas Boat Parade, a beautiful and festive display of holiday lights that traverses the Grand Canal in Satellite Beach from north to south just prior to Christmas. Few people realize that the boat parade was originally a tradition started by the U.S. Power Squadron and its local chapter, the Banana River Sail and Power Squadron, also known as America's Boating Club of South Brevard. John Carbee is an accomplished sailor, a private pilot, an open water scuba diver, and spent 4 years touring the Caribbean with his wife Carol on their 34-foot sailboat, the Sweet Caroline. Let's listen to John as he provides a little background on the Power Squadron and how this Power Squadron event came to become a celebrated annual tradition for local residents and boat owners on the Space Coast.
Yeah, before we get started, I'd like to give you a little idea. I'll be talking about the Power Squadron quite a bit, and just wanted to give you an idea about what the Power Squadron is. Back in 1914, the yacht clubs had mostly sailboats, and along came the power boats, and they used to call them gasoliners, and of course nowadays they call them stinkpots, and of course the sailboats they call ragmen. So anyway, back then the Boston Yacht Club had a gentleman, his name was Roger Upton, and in that date, 1914, he got together a bunch of the power boats, and they formed an organization. They called it the United States Power Squadrons, and the United States Power Squadrons has been going ever since then. Now, the Power Squadrons have in them individual squadrons, and Satellite Beach, South Brevard County has the local squadron, which is called the Banana River Power Squadron. And here lately, because of the internet and COVID and other things going on, they wanted to change the name, and now it's called the Boating Club of South Brevard. So anyway, I was commander back in 1985-86. Prior to that, I was the executive officer. Formally organized Satellite Beach Christmas boat parade would be in 1984. Prior to that, it was just a couple boats going out and with their Christmas lights. The start of the parade was always at the Waterway Townhouses, which is just off the Grand Canal, just south of the Peneda Causeway. And there was myself and Jim Sterniolo would open our houses up, or townhouses up, for the people that was going to participate in the parade. The actual parade started at the north end of the Grand Canal, and if the canals, the finger canals coming into the Grand Canal were wide enough where we could turn around at the end of the canal, why we would take and go down these canals. We'd go into Sleepy Lagoon, we'd go into Lake Shepherd, and after Torres Island Bridge, got down there to a point south where there was no more houses, so that's where we would turn around. This was a point just south of where the Lansing Island Bridge is now. At that time, when the beginning, Lansing Island was nothing. There wasn't a bridge there or anything. In fact, that lower end down there, people used to water ski in the canal. So as soon as we run out of houses, which is basically just south of where the Lansing Island Bridge was, that's where we turn around and come back. Coming back, it was a straight shot coming back. There was no going into the side canal. Most of the boats had music going. In fact, that's when I heard Mannheim Steamroller the first time and fell in love with those people. So it was, the canals were, not many houses were decorated in the back, but through the years, more and more people caught on to the parade, and they started decorating their docks, and we had a lot of requests for go down our canal because we're having a party and we'd like to have the boats come. But in 1986, there was, I think, 8 boats in the parade, and gradually it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Along came interest from Tortoise Island, and they had a group there they call Tortoise Island. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they called them the Tipsy Group. So they joined us, and parade doubled basically overnight when they first came in. The afternoon of the parade, the Tortoise Island group would open up their clubhouse and we'd have a potluck over there. So that's when the parade really started to take off, when we added that group. And afterwards, the parade ended, they would stop at Jim Sterniola's and our house because they were right at the end of the parade, and we would have potluck there too. And we had one fellow that was in a squadron, close friends of ours, and he would mix up a batch of chili. That chili was, if it was a cold day out on the parade, why, basically your eyes would start running, you'd start sweating, and your nose would start running because that chili was so hot. And Larry Spangler, he became commander after I was, and so every year he would take that chili and feed everybody with it. It was really great. It basically evolved, you know, a couple boats going out, and then the squadron actually started publicizing it in their local newsletter, and finally got into the Today newspaper, and that's when it really started growing. But there was no sitting down trying to organize it. It just started to happen after the few boats started going out. Now, the people in the boats that were participating in the parade were all Power Squadron people, and it was a regular event for the Power Squadron people to go. As time passed, some of the boats we didn't recognize, so people just started joining in. And it was based on some of the information that Today newspaper would run in there announcing that the Power Squadron were going to have a boat parade. Also, there was a local newspaper that was put out by the Today newspaper, but it was a satellite beach paper, And there was one woman that, I don't know her name, but she gave this Power Squadron all kinds of free publicity. At that point, then other people started coming into it. Some of the most enjoyable times was, I can remember a fellow on our boat, I can't remember who it was, but there was a dog. It was one of the canals going into the moorings, and there was a dog out there. And at that time, there was a Christmas song of a dog barking jingle bells, and the guy on our boat seen that dog out there, so he started barking jingle bells. And the dog, I'll tell you, this is a true story, that dog came back with jingle bells. Now, if it was his dog, I don't know. But I couldn't believe this. It was so funny. Then there was one time we had a squadron member, and I was commander, and he crawled up on his sailboat up onto the spreader and was riding up there. And here we are, the Power Squadron, the people that teach safe boating. And here one of our members was up on the spreaders of a sailboat. I'll never forget that one either.